Welcome to the Gay Buddhist Forum, where teachers from all schools of Buddhism offer their perspectives on the Dharma and its application in modern times, especially for LGBTQI audiences. These talks are offered freely to the world and made possible by appreciative listeners. If you would like to support our efforts to share the Dharma with underserved audiences, please visit gaybuddhist.org. There you can donate, find a list of upcoming speakers, or enjoy many hundreds of these recorded talks dating back to 1996.
Good morning. Let's do what we usually do, and I'll start and introduce ourselves by our first name. I'm Paul.
Larry.
Todd.
John.
Ed.
Michael.
Jack.
Arthur.
Kay. Robert.
Todd.
Justin.
Francis.
Peter. Lucas.
Peter.
Kate.
Clint.
Bill.
Snake.
Go around here.
Doug.
Mike.
Michael.
Michael.
George.
Paul.
Okay. And do anyone?
I'm not Carol Newhouse.
And how many are here for the first time? Could you raise your hand? Welcome. Very special welcome. Please talk to. Most of us have been here for some time, so if you have any questions afterwards, don't hesitate to ask. Carol Newhouse has apologized electronically. She had surveyed her Sangha a couple of months ago, and several were interested in possibly coming over to sit with us today. But when she surveyed them a week ago, there was only one, and that one was tentative. So Carol sort of embarrassed, but she politely declines. And she'll be here to speak to us again because she's one of our beloved regular speakers. Today our speaker is going to be Don Weipert, who has been here before and who does some really good work, outreach work to prisoners. And so he'll speak to us about that today. And as he's speaking, you might consider whether you might want to become involved in some way in writing letters is the main task that Don talks about most often, and hopefully he'll have some excerpts from the letters because they're always wonderful. Don?
I'm not here to ask for people to help write letters.
Oh, right.
No. I'm here to ask people help with the work.
Okay.
And as you may have, if you read the back pages of the newsletter, you've seen for a couple of months there's been a statement. Don Weipert would like to have some help doing this, and please get in touch with him and a little statement about what it's about. And it didn't result in anything. So I did a lot of thinking about it, and I think I want to approach it from the point of view of just my own. I guess my own personal reasons for doing it are because I have had some very powerful experiences of being with prisoners in prison, in a maximum security prison in New York, and then in the county jails here, and also it's I don't know how to put it. The first experience I had was with prisoners in New York, in a maximum security prison, in which my Zen teacher at that time, and the Sangha that I belonged to, he also had a Sangha in a prison, and I would go with him, and it was quite an experience, especially the first times that you go. But it continued to be a very powerful experience. The first time you go in and you get checked out and possibly not admitted, but most of in that prison, the teacher was pretty. He made a point of getting along well with the guards, and he also deeply respected the guards. He saw them as human beings, sort of many cases entrapped in the system, or also, you know, in some cases maybe working out, creating a lot of negative karma they were going to someday pay the price for, or whatever you think about when you accumulate negative karma. But he had basically a really decent lot of respect for them, and it communicated. You could see that they liked his presence in most cases. In any event, what we did was you entered, you had it's the powerful part, and it's like this in San Quentin, which I think I'm going to be going to sit with. But get your hand stamped, and you go into this, a big gate slowly grinds open, and you go through, and then it grinds back behind you, and you're facing another one just like it. You can't. That's there, and then that one slides back, and you can go through a long hallway to a huge, in this place, it's built in 1900, it has this huge ceiling, so a big archway with a steel door in the middle. It's all steel, a big steel door in the middle. The other side, men are walking in lines. This is Friday night. It's the time for them to, they can go to various groups, they can do things, and there are also religious groups meeting and so on. So that it's like time, so there's lines of people going everywhere. And of course, they look scary, a lot of them. That could be just inside of me, but they are scary sometimes. And so then you go upstairs, and when we got upstairs, the prisoners had just finished mopping the floor and sweeping it in the room that we were going to use, which was really a converted classroom. They just moved all the furniture out. And then they were able to get blankets from a closet that they kept, and they folded them up to make, zafus and also something to sit on. And then we had a little service and a lecture from the teacher, and then kind of a group discussion in which everybody responded to what the lecture, and maybe the Dharma. You get a Dharma reading usually. What does this mean to you? And we got in a little bit of a group discussion. It wasn't very extensive, but it was very powerful. Some of the men were doing master's degrees, and so they were verbal. Some of the men were not very used to talking, about what they thought about something. When they had a response to what they were thinking about. And so it was a very intimate experience, and I talked too. There was no, you were not to be there and not, part of the group. And then we had a little visit afterwards, and you go a few times and begin to get to know some of them, and then the most powerful part of the whole experience is leaving. You're into the Dharma experience of sharing, as we are here today. It's warm. We're a sangha, whatever that means to each of us individually. We come for one reason or another, and it's supportive of our practice. But we leave and they stay, and the issue of separation just really hits you. This is what separation is in terms of the Buddhist thinking. So that was, for me, that was a very powerful experience. And I continued to go while I lived in New York. After a while, some of the men took vows, took the 10 precept vows, and did what in the Zen community is called jukai, which is a ceremony of accepting the vows. So that had a powerful experience in me. And the other was, the other direct experience I've had was in San Francisco for about a year and a half, going into a program organized by the Buddhist communities of San Francisco, not just the Zen Center, but that's sort of that's the sort of powerhouse for this. Because the Zen Center has dedicated several staff members specifically to doing outreach and work with prisoners. So they have a staff in a place and so on. And somebody to answer their letters that they get and to send out books. But anyway, you go to prison and a team of 2 goes into various blocks and does yoga for maybe 45 minutes, or you have an hour and a half roughly, and then meditation, and then a sharing. That's a very different experience. County jails are a lot looser than maximum security prisons, but it's still not joyous places, especially San Pablo, the one that's down in San Bruno, excuse me. That's a terrible place. That's really the men are breaking windows there constantly in the summertime because it's so hot, and there's no, it just heats up. It's not good ventilation. They live in big, huge wards and with just a few phones and whatever. It's just the county jail that you see from the freeway is down here on 9th Street, 7th Street is Park Avenue next to that place. It's really, really kind of, that's where I did most of my work. And so last week, I just made an announcement at the end, and some guys came up to me and said, "Well, I don't know. You want to help, but what do you do? What is it? What is involved in this correspondence thing?" And that's what I thought I'd like to share a little bit about. Well, what would you do if you actually helped? How could you help? I just thought before I asked to that, I have letters here. These are all, I made about 10 copies of letters that out of the batch that I just received. They're sort of typical of the kinds of letters that we get. They're each of them sort of typical of different kinds of letters. The first one is a guy that just says, "Please send me your newsletter." I did. Oh, excuse me. Well, I'll just let me be a little systematic about this. There's one man, Terry Pancho, who wrote one of the articles about bathing. The newsletter that we had a few months ago, which dealt with how they talked about their experience in prison, how they meditated, what it meant for them to be a Buddhist in prison, what they did. This man is getting out in 18 months, and he has asked me. He writes his letter saying, "If anything you can do to help me, help the sangha that I've created." That I lead, he didn't create and lead. He has a sangha of about 12 guys in his prison, and he's very knowledgeable of the Dharma. He has a lot. He could really teach us if he came. He's done a lot to educate himself. I just want to read this to you. Chapter 3 of the Sutra of the Lotus Flower. That's one of the ancient collections of sutras and of koans, actually. Chapter 3 of the Sutra of the Lotus Flower of the wonderful law, the Lotus Sutra, goes into great detail on doing work like we do. You and GBF and everyone there are living manifestations of Chapter 3. I believe because you fulfill it by sharing the Dharma and your practice with others who haven't a clue of the true reality of things. That made me feel good for what we do, and it's that's so. I just this first part of his I just took that part of his letter. So just thought that would be it. So what do we do? Get about 15 to 30 letters a month, and sometimes I get to them every 6 weeks, sometimes once a month. About a third of them are letters that's one thing. I'm a Buddhist, I'm a this, I'm a that, I heard about you, or I got your name on the list. Please, will you please put me on your pen pal list, and I want somebody to write letters to. And when I say all they get, I guess I feel it's what they get. What we do with them is just simply, dear friend, thank you, got your letter, et cetera, and then there's a paragraph, which I should have brought, a copy of the letter, about what the Sangha is about, and say, and we don't have a pen pal program, because we don't. There's no way we could have one. If you get 20 letters a month asking for pen pals, and the Sangha is about 50 people, it's not very practical to even ask for help. So I sort of decided not to do that a few years ago. Then there's a bunch of people who wrote right back from that, not that many, maybe a third, and they want the newsletter. And then there's another group of letters that come in. Michael, you want to tell a letter about why don't you tell one about the guy with his vegetarian problem? Michael took this the other day. He may do something with it.
I think I'm going to write him just because I'm sympathetic. He's a vegetarian in prison, and he is supposed to be offered vegetarian meals by law, apparently. But the guards harass him about being a vegetarian, and very often will not give him the vegetarian meals that he's supposed to get. He says that a week doesn't go by without him having a problem of this sort. He feels very, very frustrated. This is in Texas, and coming from the South, I understand how hostile people are to vegetarians in the South. So I'm not really surprised that he's having these kinds of problems.
And tell about his asking, and then asking not for help.
Well, yeah. First, he wanted us to write, I guess, to officials in the prison.
He even had in an area letter gave me the names of the people specifically to write, ombudsman and wardens and things.
Right, and then later he wrote again and said, "Don't, because I'm up for parole, and don't rock the boat. Just let's wait and see if I get parole first." And
Thanks. So I thought that was one. And there's another. In the past, there's a guy that has trouble getting books from our bookstore because they keep saying they want absolute real proof that it's a licensed vendor of books. Which is just driving him crazy. So we have people to write. So in cases like this, what we do is where advocacy is necessary, the abbot of the Zen Center or officials of the Zen Center will write letters that they were willing to write a letter that vegetarianism is a very important part, et cetera, and also deal with the other issues. And we've gotten involved in other kinds of advocacy issues also, helping prisoners, secure their practice. And those letters take a little time. And then we get letters wanting books. Up to now, the Zen Center has been able to provide lots of books, not books, but books, for these people's practice. Sometimes I help them actually mail the books out because it's a little bit of extra work. And so that's what's involved. It's a lot of addressing of envelopes, writing letters, sending letters out, reading the mail just takes time, just sorting out what these letters are about and what to do. Do you have any recollections, Francis, of it when you helped? You read some of the letters, or?
No, I think if one could do the same kind of a function again, you get into it and maybe do it more effectively. So that if you get a group or some specialization function might take place, it might help.
Yeah. But I have this, with not getting a response from anybody and having done this on my own and not having challenged the group to help before. I've asked for help at various times, but didn't seem to know how to sort of follow through on it, or for whatever reason it happened. But the thought occurs to me, is this something that the Sangha really believes is important to do? Seriously, I mean, really, examining yourself. Is it something that's worthwhile? And also, you might want to have some more questions. I don't think I probably explained anything about it. Snake?
Is it true that most inmates have a lot of time on their hand, or are they rushing from thing to thing?
Yes, it's true that inmates have a lot of time on their hands. In the maximum security prison that I was in New York, about 40% of the men had jobs, maybe 45, 50%. They could go to the bakery, they went to the kitchen, I don't know if they make license plates anymore or whatever. I mean, the kinds of things that they do in prison. It was a luxury to have a job. It was a luxury to have a job, and not, otherwise you didn't have anything to do. You hung around the yard all the time, pumped iron, or got into fights and killed each other. So whatever they do in the yard, all kinds of things. So, yeah.
Would it be possible to sort of subsidize direct exchanges between prisoners? I mean, the postage stamps, pay them if possible.
No.
Some of the more advanced practitioners would probably be better at communicating with other prisoners than we would, even if we had the time.
Prisoners are not allowed to write other prisoners in most cases. Howard has told me he's not allowed to write to them. They do not accept mail from another prison in most cases. You cannot send money directly. You can send it to the commissary, and it'll be put in their account, but they're very limited in the amount of money they can withdraw from it. Stamps sometimes will be rejected if you send the stamps to them. There is a system, and it's run by, I don't know if it's Amazon. It's not Amazon, but it's some, I forgot now, I have it at home, but there's a major company which has a prison division. And they will they have prices. They literally have a catalog of things that you can buy. So then it comes from a licensed vendor and it can get through. You see, you can't send anything in that's a licensed vendor. Oregon, for example, as some of you know, when we send them a newsletter from the prisoners, we can't just say GBF. We have to have a name on it, a personal name. They usually put my name down, I think. But there's all kinds of rules about stuff. Stuff comes back sometimes for a variety of reasons. It's hard to say exactly. No, you can't do it. We could subsidize. You can subsidize through the bookstore. The only thing we should subsidize, I think, would. And you've been very generous. I don't know how many books you've given us. You must read a lot, or you've accumulated a lot in your lifetime. But we don't get many donations of books. But I thought it might be nice if the Sangha gave money to buy books for the Buddhist prisoners that we service to the Zen Center. $100 a couple of times a year would probably help a lot.
Would they like the donation of books to be sort of limited to Buddhism or the spirituality, acceptable?
I think any book that's from a recognized tradition like yoga or Tibetan Buddhism or something like that. And Queer Dharma is a book that they buy. Is anybody not familiar with the books Queer Dharma? Everybody know that there are two books called Queer Dharma that are very good?
And that originated partly out of this group.
Yeah, it's out of this group. Yeah. A lot of people who wrote for it came out of this group. Everybody knows that such books? Okay, that's great. I was wondering whether some of the newer people are aware that there's books with that title. So he's been very generous with Queer Dharma 2, which didn't sell very well. So, but we can get a hold of that and send that out. Yeah.
Could you talk a little bit, Don, about the teaching aspect? You mentioned that you went originally in New York. Was it Austin you went to, or?
No, it was Mackinac prison. But
you went with your teacher, and
yeah.
I think in my mind, there's sort of a split between people who are interested in prisoners' issues per se, because they're interested in prisoners, whatever political or religious background they come out of, and then there are other people who are sort of interested in Buddhism and different things that they might want to do as part of their practice. And so, can you talk a little bit about in that community, in the prison work that you were talking about, how much contact there is with the teachers at the Zen Center or people who are going in to the prisons who are ordained or, in some way more...
Some of the prisoners are very, very happy to have somebody that visits them every 6 months, every 3 months, every week, once a month. The Tibetan group, the followers of Yeshe, I'm saying it right, operate the Liberation Prison Press, which sends out 5,000 mailings a month, and a magazine. It's Rebecca Courtin, Robina Courtin. You may remember she's written some articles for us, and she gave speeches a while back. She's a dynamite woman and fundraiser. So yes, there are teachers that go in. San Quentin has a sangha, and they have a senior priest, the person who received Dharma transmission goes in regularly as the teacher. Plus, any of us are welcome to go also and join that sangha. You have to get yourself fingerprinted, etc., and get a tag, but you can go. It's not, you're welcome, and it means a lot. It's exactly what I did when I started. Yes, so there are teachers available. And there's a group called the Prison Dharma Network, which has information that can help prisoners get in touch with sanghas, and teachers. But many of them long for a teacher, Now there are also there are at least 6 sanghas that I'm in touch with, or I guess that we're in touch with, where there's a lot of guys in one prison, and they receive books also. But they have a library. Pancho's the guy I read. He keeps a library for them, and they have a chaplain that's very helpful. There are chaplains that are very helpful, but I would say more predominantly the chaplains are hostile and don't make it easy for these guys, especially in the South, especially in Texas, it seems. Or I guess Texas is. There's so many guys we get from Texas. I would bet a quarter of the people we have from Texas. And there's one unit of almost entirely homosexuals. They're all segregated, and there's a sangha there. So it's interesting. A lot of the guys write about their anguish about their homosexuality. Is it okay in Buddhism to be gay? And it's because they're homophobic. And I guess I could tell you this one too. This one very touching. It's really, I don't know, warmed my heart. There's a guy I've been writing to he writes very long letters. He writes about being lonely, et cetera, and I didn't take him on as a pen pal, but that doesn't matter. He writes me letters anyway. And I just send him back a little something maybe because, he sort of got me. Well, the last letter he got was, he says, I don't know how to tell you this, et cetera, but apparently there was an older guy, 57, he's about late 30s, moved into his bunk as a bunkmate. After about a week or so, they sat down, he put his hand on his leg and the other way, et cetera, and so now they've become lovers. And he says, and this is the first time he really only acknowledged that he was gay in prison. It's pretty hard if you're gay, if you never come out. But if you go to prison, it's pretty hard not to really have to acknowledge those feelings. You think about being all those guys taking showers, everything about it. It's like going to YMCA. So, anyway. It was very warm. He talked about how wonderful it was to have a lover in the first time he had sex. It was just, it's nice. So what do you think, guys? I can tell you how I think we might handle it. But do you have any ideas how we could share this?
I have quite a few questions.
Yeah.
The first would be, did you have any fear going in and sitting with the other men? And if so, how did you deal with that?
No, I kind of trusted it would be all right because my teacher was going with me, and he was, I would have felt differently, I think, if I, But I did, yes. But a lot of stuff came up. I was fearful. I mean, a lot of anxiety, but it wasn't. How did I deal with it? I guess I just went and leapt off the 100-foot pole. It wasn't a terrible anxiety. Some of the women that went really had a lot of. It was hard for them to go, and they were respected. As a matter of fact, what's happened, that was 10 years ago, 11 years ago when I was doing that in New York. They now service 5 prisons. They have a woman who coordinates this. They have Sanghas in 5 prisons from this, having spread from this around that. There's a lot. It happens that around that area there's a real concentration of prisons for some reason. Whatever. So yeah.
Is being a gay man been an issue
For who?
for the inmates?
Back in Dallas?
Yeah.
I wasn't really out publicly at that time when I was going with them, and I don't think it would even come up, in the Sangha. There's no reason why you would talk about it.
Because I was just wondering if people go representing the Gay Buddhist Fellowship.
No, nobody goes representing.
Okay.
No, if you go, you represent the prison meditation network. That's the prison meditation network has people from Vipassana, from the Zen Center, from Integrity Yoga Center, and I don't know if Pure Land is involved very much in it, but it has people in it from that meets sort of in San Francisco every few months, and that coordinates the program that goes into the prisons. And it's done, but the Prison Meditation Network has a staff member at the Zen Center actually coordinates and keeps the records, so it has a staff member that can help it run.
So, for example, if we were wanting to go to the prison there in San Rafael, would you contact them, or how would that happen?
Is there a prison in San Rafael?
Well,
I don't know.
The San Quentin.
San Quentin.
Yeah.
Talk to me about it. Yeah. How you might do that if you're interested in doing that. Okay. Yeah. That's all I can say. Should we do it? I can't do it alone anymore. If you helped, how could we do that?
Well, I think it would help if you would sort of describe to us what it might look like on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis in terms of where any volunteers would go, what exactly we would do.
I'm talking about the letter writing. Yeah. Only. I'm talking about the work of communicating between the fellowship and the prisoners.
Okay. Do I understand correctly that basically we send a kind of form letter to most of these guys because we're not writing them personally? So if they write requesting a pen pal, we send them more or less a letter that describes our Sangha and explains that we don't have a pen pal program. And then I guess it also tells them that they can get their newsletter.
Right. What I would suggest, what I thought about how it would work, would be I come in once a month with the letters, unopened, sit down with a group of guys, we open the letters and read them, and sort them out into the piles that they have to be put in, and then send the form letters out that have to go, and the letters that require more attention. And just, there's two groups. One want the newsletter, one want the other. And then keep that. And then people who want the newsletter, somebody will take their names or keep the envelopes or something and write to the database person and give the names of these are new guys. Robin's the one I communicate with. I think he does the work sometimes, or he used to. Whatever. So there's very routine tasks, that part. And then there's the letters that require some special attention, and we can look at them and decide how we want to share them. Maybe would it help if I pass out some letters? To show you what we get?
And Don, what about...
We don't have much time, I think.
Yeah, we have plenty of time.
Okay.
What about the time commitment? I mean, is this an all-day Saturday thing, or
I would think an
a
hour.
couple of, an hour?
An
or
hour
two?
would handle it well, although people might have to, maybe somebody would take the form that is home and address them at home, or something, take the responsibility for the first responses. I call them the first responses, the second responses, etc. That's how my data file looks.
So somebody could take
Or we could all write envelopes out right there and write an envelope for every envelope we get right there and then. So because that's one of the things. For me, it's a pain in the ass to do that, and etc. I think the group could look at the task and figure out how they want to handle it. If people want to meet.
Yeah. I was thinking that we could do this sort of like we did the newsletter mailing party, that once a month after the meeting, people who want to can stay and do this, spend an extra
I think some
hour.
people though should be a group where some of them take a responsibility. It can't be just like, well, here you do this, you do that, you do this, you do that. It has to be a little more organized than that. Somebody has to do it sort of consistently, or several people. So yeah, I did it last week. I know how to do it, whatever. But yeah, I think we could get. What I thought is we can get together with maybe in 3 weeks or 4 weeks, maybe, or right after the next newsletter comes out. It's going to come out in December, right? Get together, organize a meeting, sit down with a group of people, and figure out how will we do this? Who will do what? And who's willing to try this part of it? You'll have to get a little educated about it. Make a commitment. Do you want to do it? If the Sangha doesn't want to do it, if you just want to rely on who shows up, I'm going to go crazy if nobody comes, and I'm going to get upset and mad. I don't know what to say.
I mean, could it be done after the Sunday?
It can be done. Yeah, it can be done for an hour after. I would say we can sit down with people
I think that
to
would
make
be
a
worth
commitment
trying.
to do it.
I think that would be worth trying.
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea, Michael, because people are reluctant to commit, but they do commit to coming here, and it's not much of a commitment to stay over once on an ad hoc basis. So, maybe by doing that a couple of times, a couple of interested people will emerge who might be willing to share the, leadership responsibility with you.
Well, I'm willing to I want to work. I think, I may want to phase out of it in a while. I think I do. For a variety of personal reasons, including my practice, which is getting deeper and making more commitments. I want to go into some more retreat. Anyway, that's my personal issue. Is I want to see the work continue. I want to stay involved with it. I'm hoping that we continue to do it, and because otherwise you're just going to keep getting these letters every month, and what are you going to do with them? They're going to keep coming in whether I'm doing it or not. Yeah. So I think it's something that needs to be taken on as a Sangha responsibility, not just everybody feels good that I do it for that, so to speak.
These are letters coming in to us?
Yes, to the fellowship.
But I think that if we start by having these parties, those sort of mailing parties after the Sunday sitting, that might evolve into a kind of committee. Once people understand what the work entails, that some people might be willing to take on certain responsibilities on a regular basis.
You got any ideas, Francis, about how to organize it? You're so good at that. Or maybe you'll come to the first meeting and help us organize it.
I guess it ought to be the same numbered Sunday in the month, so that people wouldn't have to worry about days. There's the second or the third, just like if you did the second Saturday for feeding the homestead. Have it so you knew which was going to be this one, so you would arrange to come that time if you were interested.
The only problem with that is that the San Francisco Buddhist Center has certain events that happen here, and they don't happen, unfortunately, on a regular basis. So every month there are certain Sundays that we can't stay late. We have to arrange with them ahead of time for sitting an hour.
Yeah, I just like to add, I agree with Fred. We have one model of engaged Buddhism that we take on right now in GPF, and it's the Hamilton Center faithfully every second Saturday of the month. And there's a crew of people that are regulars who do it. And I kind of put it together. We've been doing it about 8 years now, and it's a working model of how to do something like this. The thing, if you want to use it as an example, you need to have one person spearheaded, and then have, which would take a lot of time commitment. But then you need to have like a pool of people you can draw on, and then just meet once a month. It doesn't have to be here. It could be in somebody's apartment or something.
Right.
And then, don't make it a chore. It could be fun. The Hamilton dinners are great fun. They're festive. We formed a really tight, loving community out of it. You can order in pizza. You can order in, or make it a potluck. And it could just be we all are urban males. A lot of us are away from our biological families. This is a way where you form community. It isn't like this big responsibility to take on in spite of all the fun things you could do instead of that. It's a sense of like engaged Buddhism. It isn't just coming when you're able. It's going out in the world and taking the Buddhist principles and engaging them.
I think the other thing we do is send the newsletters out to the prisoners. Yeah. I think that's a very important thing that we do. It's not, and that's done in the mailing party, but that's the most, for a lot of the guys, what they say about. We got letters back, from some of the guys saying they loved that scholarly article that David Holmes wrote, and got all involved in commenting about it. It was, etc. So we're always getting letters. The newsletter means something. Appearing every month, every other month in my life. It's my only contact with the outside world about Buddhism. So let me pass these out. Yeah. But I want to. We don't have much time to read.
I just want to make a comment because that seems like there's a lot of energy there.
Yeah.
The men being able to write each other, and I don't see how they could stop it if we received it and then forwarded it. I mean, because there's a lot of time on each of these people. I mean, there's a lot. It seems like a lot of energy available between the parties. And if there was a way that we could eliminate the bureaucracy of having the letter come from another prison, forwarding it in our own return address, how can would we be breaking some kind of law?
Well, that's an interesting comment, but let me, the first letters I passed out are kind of like to give you an idea. The rest of these are very simple. They're written in one minute. They just give you an idea. That's what the letters look like. They don't say much. So just please do this. You can read them here. I think you probably want to pass them around. You'll read it. In a sense, what I try to do is convey the ordinariness of the letters. They're just... Yes.
How do they find out about GBF now? How do they get our address from that? How is our name being publicized among the inmate community?
The prison Dharma network in Denver, which is headed by a man named Philippe Mao, who's a Buddhist teacher who was 10 years in prison but has now become a recognized Buddhist teacher. He's organized a prison Dharma network, and they send out a publication around the prisons. They have quite an extensive network, and we're listed there as one source of help.
And we gave...
I asked them to please stop saying we take pen pals, and I think they did. But that doesn't stop these guys from writing anyway. See, every group, the Buddhist Peace Fellowship gets letters all the time. The Zen Center gets letters. They all want pen pals. Only 1/3 distilled out is really wanting our newsletter. The rest is prisoners are so lonely for contact. They want something. We can't do it. I always feel bad when I send those letters out. They can't do it for you, but those people that are really, it filters out. Some of the guys write it because they want it, but some people are really practicing or meditating or involved in something. I didn't bring a letter like this. A guy, because it's kind of letter you don't quite know how to answer. He said he became he joined Islam. He became a member of Islamist. And then he realized he's gay. That came later. And now he feels like he's going to be damned to hell. Well, it's funny, but it's true. He really is worried about it. He can't tell his fellow members of his group that he's gay, because they will, whatever. But anyway, does that answer your question? They hear about it also from other prisoners. You see, prisoners are always being transferred around in prisons. It happens very regularly. Like in New York, we would sit and all of a sudden somebody's not there. Well, where did he go? He went to Sing Sing. Or he went up to, Elmira. So it spreads also by prisoners, knowing prisoners.
And are we the only gay Buddhist source?
We are the only source for gay Buddhists. The only source for gay people who want to have that as a... most of our newsletters don't... Many of the speeches the talks that we have don't mention gay at all. We had a gay woman here last week, or when was Stu here? 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. She didn't talk about that. We had to add it, on the Zen Center, a woman, and she's not gay, and she didn't talk about it. So in our newsletters, a lot of the times our talks don't have anything to say about the gay issue, do they?
Very often not.
Very often not, yeah.
Which is we don't want to just be a gay song.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that. Yeah. So, but it's still, but they like getting the book like Kriya Dharma. It helps them.
Well, I'm just thinking, maybe somebody can contact Winston.
If you have a letter that you finished like that, pass it around. Yeah, because that's one of the good ones. When I say good ones, it tells you they're kind of interesting.
I'm very moved at what you're saying. I know we're running out of time. What I'm thinking is maybe we can put it like a list out there and just have people who are just interested. And it's not a commitment. It's not like you just put your name on the list. You have to do this and now you're stuck. But just people who are moved what you're saying and thinking this is something that might be worth exploring and you might be interested. And then one of us can take it upon ourselves to just have a meeting where we get together again, just have a dinner, go out to a cafe or something, or to somebody's house, and just discuss if we want to take on this project of engaged Buddhism. I would hate to see it fall.
Wouldn't it be easier to do it though after a Sangha meeting?
I don't know.
I would suggest we
started that way.
I would suggest we look out on the calendar after this meeting and see if there's a Sunday in December that we're not doing the newsletter that's not booked from 1 to 2, and sign ourselves in and then call Viveka and tell her what we're doing and saying that maybe once or twice we want to do this to get started, and then it's possible we will want to move it off site after that. But I think the possibility that we'll get the maximum participation would be after a Sunday meeting.
Yeah, I think so too. I love the idea of doing that, but I just think it, it means different nights are hard for people to commit, and weekend times, and so on.
But I think once people get involved,
once people see it,
they'll be willing to go to a meeting somewhere else.
And see exactly what it's like and get a feeling for it, and the fear of being shackled to a command that's going to bury them and finally disappears, that it may be more, it might make a go of it.
Can we start in November?
Well, I guess we could. I guess I was thinking to get the word out in the next newsletter.
Yeah, we might even just have it some Sundays and have a speaker. Just I don't know how people feel about that. Whether they think that that's not what they came here for.
I don't think you need to do that. You know, I mean, I think you can get it done in a time period. So.
It looks like some of them have web pages. Inmate.com. What's that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, so you've never...
I never heard about it till that letter.
So I wonder if we could write them an email letter. I mean, they have access to computers?
Yeah, I have no idea. I'm busy. Here's some tasks I'm involved in. That's not good. That's another thing that came along down. Would somebody want to check that out and tell me what it's about?
He's given two, and he's given an email address, michaelyoung@inmate.com.
Yeah, okay. I can maybe write him. Somebody want to write him? I'm trying to collect information now. Here's what I'm doing outside of this, just to promote the work. I'm trying to find out the actual prisons where their actual song is. I mean, I know about them informally, but Robin and I are going to put together a little list of places where there are about 3 prisoners all in one prison and write them is there a sangha, a sitting group, how do they know each other? I'm getting a list, I'm putting together a list of resources that will provide them with books so I can look, you don't just have to depend on us for books. Here's all these other places you can write and get help, etc. So I have a project. Inmate.com comes along now. I have to do that too. No, it's not a joke.
Yeah, I wish we had a little space.
I keep discovering there's a network, going on.
Because if we had a little space here to store books, then maybe we could scout around and see if there's we could add to the weekly announcements. If you have books, please bring them. And then this could be a collection point, for books.
We could do that.
I'm certain if I went through my books, I'd have some.
We send the books out to the Zen Center because they come from the Zen Center bookstore library. That's the stamp on them.
It makes it a licensed vendor again.
Well, at least it makes it coming from a recognized religious source. See, and then we get a library rate. I mean, so the books are expensive to me. The library rate's much cheaper. But that's not an issue.
Can we reproduce these letters and mail them out to other prisoners, or is that considered prisoner to prisoner?
I would not like to do that without talking to a lot of people about it.
Or even publish some of these in the newsletter anonymously?
Well, we did.
We have published.
We did that, and
probably will again.
You probably will again, but not.
We might be able to contact Winston Leyland and see if we can get books. Queer Dharma. You said I'm not selling very well. He's probably got boxes of them.
No, he's giving me 2 boxes.
Oh,
yeah. No, he's very good. He doesn't have other Buddhist books, right now to give.
But does he have more than that? Maybe we could buy some at a reduced rate.
Well, I have a feeling that's his remainder or something.
Okay, well, that's probably.
It would take a while to get rid of 2 boxes of books. One of the reasons I haven't said yes to him yet is because I have to keep them in my house or something. I don't know where to keep them. I don't want to. Yeah, that's all right. I mean, I could do it. We'll work it out. So I would think that it's a good idea to have a list outside of people to sign up if they're interested. I'll have to come to successive meetings to get more people to do it. And then we set aside a date in December maybe to early in December. Well, it could be in November.
It's tough during the holiday period. It's a lot.
It's never good to do it during the holiday period. But what do you think?
Well, not between Christmas and New Year's, but no, there's a lot of Sundays in December. But
stick around.
Yeah, that would be fine. I mean, I guess we could just send out a notice on the email group saying
that doesn't get to everybody. I'm not.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying we could do it in November, but
There couldn't be an announcement in the newsletter, is what he's saying. The only way
If there's an announcement in the
Well, that
newsletter.
would have to be January, wouldn't it, really?
No,
Put it on the
December.
website.
No, it would be December, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we could put
why
it
don't we
on the
just keep doing it, announcing it at meetings, put it out, set a date in what?
December. Because
Yeah,
that would
early
get,
December.
that we could put
Early
it-
December, yeah.
Yeah, we could put it in the newsletter, and that would potentially,
When will the newsletter come out?
and we could announce it here every Sunday. Who are the facilitators and the
And
hosts?
hopefully late in November, yeah. Okay, that would be good.
The facilitators and the hosts that are here, announce it, that we're going to do it in December. And I will send a note out to the facilitators and hosts to announce that.
And it can go on the email list, too.
Sorry?
Yeah, it can go out in the email list, too.
And I can, send an email out to the group once we find a date.
Well, let's see what happens when we put a list out now.
Right.
And how many people
Just
get
stress-
today, put their name on that, to want to come and see. I'll be curious just to see what happens when that happens. Yeah. I want to see,
People freak out when they see
we're
lists.
going to put a list outside, and we'll see who today puts their name on it.
Yeah.
Maybe we can.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, otherwise it's a nice thing that you're very busy, and you're very busy, and you're very busy, you're already doing things, and so it's a lot of, there are other, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, Francis, any announcements? Because we got to wrap up, and we'll find a date, and we'll put a list out there.
Important announcements. Please wash your cup. Please put some money in the dollar bowl and be as generous as you can.
At least $5.
Need money. For the new people, we usually go to lunch, almost go to lunch afterwards, and you're most welcome. And again, to repeat, if you have questions, ask, because people have the answers for them.
Is there still a sign-up sheet for the newsletter if people want to get on the membership list for the newsletter?
Yeah, there's a piece of paper out there, and at the top it says new GBF.
And there's some cookies, and please eat them all because we can't put anything in the way of food around here. So be generous with yourself and eat.
Anybody want to take a letter home? If not, why don't you just-
We end by joining in a circle.
Hey, you want to make your announcement?
No, I'm just going to say that there's information about the GBS Thanksgiving outside, so please take a flyer if you're interested.
Oh, yes, I'm coming.
Maybe just have a moment of silence.
Think positive thoughts about November 2nd.
And think positive thoughts about the prisoner, people who are in prison, and
2,300,000 people.
send out love and kindness to them. See you next Sunday.
I'm going to put that in the statement.
Thank you for listening to the Gay Buddhist Forum. If you would like to hear several new talks per month and be notified of upcoming speakers so you can participate live, please subscribe to this podcast, like us on Facebook, and join our mailing list by visiting gaybuddhist.org.